What's up guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're looking at the Honor 7X. This is a great budget smartphone with a lot of features that you would definitely not expect for the price. I actually saw this announced at the December event. They actually were kind enough to give me an invite. We also learned about the View 10 as well, and also met Unbox Therapy as well. Check my Instagram out if you want to see that picture. So let's go back to what we're here for, the 7X. Now, unlike what I usually do in my reviews, which is reel off all the specs in one go, I'm just going to cover them as we go throughout the video. Now, as a quick side note, I'd usually cover the box, but we actually got this phone at the event itself, and they didn't actually include any headphones or accessories. It was just the quick charger and then a micro USB cable. So if you're wondering why that's not included, that's the reason. Okay, so on the front of the 7X, we've got a 5.93 inch 18:9 ratio screen. That's a resolution of 1080 by 2160. So that gives you a 77% screen to body ratio, and that also has Gorilla Glass protection. Behind the screen, it's running an octa-core processor on the Kirin 659 chipset. That's Android 7.0, but hopefully we see Android Oreo soon, as Nugget is getting on a bit now. So on the top of the device, we've got an 8 megapixel camera that also does feature portrait mode, which I found to be very hit and miss. When it did work, it did partial blur at best, but that may be down to just the lighting that I was testing it in. Alongside that, we've got the speaker for calls, and that's also got a built-in notification light like we saw on the Honor 8. So on the sides of the device, we've got all our usual features: the volume up and down, the power or lock button. The left-hand side houses the dual SIM slot, but that also can be used for expandable storage with a micro SD up to 256 gigabytes. Now, this particular model has 64 gigabytes of internal storage and then 4 gigabytes of RAM, but there are different variants depending on what country you're in. So the 7X has a 3340 mAh battery. This is rechargeable via micro USB. Then to the right of that, you've also got a headphone jack. So the back of the 7X, they've gone with a metal feel rather than the kind of glass back that we saw on the Honor 8. It's also not quite as shiny as well, which also means it's great for keeping those fingerprints away. If you're not fond of blue, they also do it in black, gold, red and grey as well. At the very top, we've got a dual lens configuration for the camera. This is a 16 and a 2 megapixel. I will get into the more comprehensive things of the camera in a minute. That also houses an LED flash. Below that, we've got an ideally placed fingerprint reader, nice and easy to reach with the right finger. Very snappy and responsive as well, and on a claim it says 0.25 second unlock speed. On the bottom of the device is just some Honor branding. Then you've also got two antenna bands as well, and to me the styling seemed very similar to certain Fruit phones. So getting on to one of my favourite things to cover, which is obviously the camera, as I use cameras every day. So this is the Pro mode. You can actually go through and adjust your white balance, your f-stop, apertures, ISOs, all of the things like that, which for somebody like me that is used to using manual modes on cameras, this is definitely nice to see. Now, of course, not everyone's going to be about that Pro mode, so if you're going to be shooting on auto, one thing I would recommend is maybe trying to get used to the manual controls, just as on occasion it would shoot a little bit overexposed, especially outside. So that's obviously one thing you want to combat, as it's a lot easier to bring photos up from being too dark than it is to take them down from being too bright. So something you just want to bear in mind. Now, going on to the video, this shoots in 1080p, and let's take a look in the camera. Now, as this shoots in 1080p, you just need to bear in mind if you're watching this maybe on 4K, which is what my main camera records in, there's obviously going to be a little bit of difference there as it's not full 4K quality. But nevertheless, it does shoot pretty good video, especially if you're outside where there's a lot of light. Another cool feature you've got in the photo options is the ability to change between a narrow and a wide aperture. So if you're going to do a time lapse where you want everything to be in focus, especially if you're in the city, for example, the narrow would be a great option as you want to get obviously most things in focus. But then you can go super wide with a nice shallow depth of field for up close subjects. Now here's some examples of some shots I took outside. These are all in automatic. There's also one with HDR as well. Pretty good overall. There's some nice contrast in there as well and some good saturation. You could obviously go into maybe Lightroom as well, give them a little bit more adjustment, but you need to consider they're not raw files, so your options are a little bit limited. Inside was a little bit of a different matter though. I think it does struggle in low light, especially looking up close. There's a little bit lack of sharpness. So there's loads of other options in the settings menu. One that you may find quite handy is the grid option. So if you want to get your pictures nice and precise, or if you just want to keep your Instagram page strong, then that's a good option to have as well. Performance wise, going through apps, multitasking, even gaming all served very well. I didn't find any issues with this personally. I found it to be very snappy and responsive with whatever I threw at it. Even playing pretty performance intensive games, or even playing a game very badly like what's on screen now, it all did very well and I didn't see any performance issues. Now, easily pleased with simple things on this phone, such as the headphone jack. Nice to see they're not getting rid of that. There's a lot of people, including me, like to use that. Now, one thing that I think really lets this phone down is that it's using micro USB instead of USB-C for charging. The majority of phones that are coming out now using USB-C, and considering the fact that the Honor 8 included USB-C from a few years back, but this doesn't, I think is a big shame. And we're even seeing USB even adopted into power banks and things nowadays as well. I'm thinking about it, every phone I've got in the office at the moment uses USB-C, minus this one. So yeah, definitely something to improve in the next budget device, even if it does make the cost go up ever so slightly. Now, lack of USB-C aside, the performance from this phone is absolutely great. The octa-core processor does a fantastic job through multitasking, gaming and everyday usage. The 18:9 screen is a fantastic resolution for the price. Such affordability with a screen like that is not something you see every day. It does take some great pictures, even better if you're willing to spend a little bit more time and getting used to the Pro mode. You can get some even better shots out of it. Then other things such as the snappy rear fingerprint and then a lovely range of colours makes it a great choice for the price. If you've got any more questions about the 7X, please leave them down below in the comment section. Obviously there may be a few other things you want me to touch upon, so ask me down there and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I will put the links for this in the description box below if you want to get one for yourself. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Thank you to Honor for providing me the unit to review. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.